Okay, let's go for it. Okay, good morning and welcome. My name's Dave, or Ditech, CTO DVS. As always, thank you very much for your time wherever you are in the world watching. It is very much appreciated. And today we hope to deliver some valuable content in the form of iVMS-4200. As always, I'm joined by my trusty sidekick, Reese, who heads up the technical team. He isn't in the building today. He's working from home. It's just me in the building today. So he will answer any questions you may have as I go through the presentation. If he needs any of my assistance, he will always jump in and I will try to answer the best I can. If I can't answer it, I will get back to you. If you've got any outstanding questions, suggestions, or comments, please use webinar@dvs.co.uk and myself and Reese will be willing and able to help you wherever we can. So, audio's working. You can all see my screen. You've joined, I've already installed iVMS-4200. This is the latest version. I'm not going to go through the installation process because that takes a couple of minutes and it is literally click, click, click. What you will find is that this is the latest version 3.2. So under the burger menu that people call this, at the top you can see about, and you can actually see this is the latest version. But again, suggest that you always check. The easiest and best way is either ask us or you can go to the Hikvision Europe portal, and there's a UK and Europe portal on there where you're able to search for any of our firmwares, product catalogs, certificates, and also softwares. So I really suggest that you update it to the latest version. One thing you'll notice with this latest version is I'm in dark mode. I absolutely love dark mode everything. I'm like the Dark Knight. If it is dark mode enabled, it's going on. Some people like the light theme, so you can change the skin. Again, if you wanted to change the skin, on the top under the burger menu where some of the quick access menus are, you can go to skin and then choose bright or dark series. If you choose that, the software will recalibrate and it'll go into very light mode, but we're going to concentrate on the dark mode. I think it's much more appealing. Okay, what you'll also notice is when I did the installation, I actually added and selected all of the modules that I needed or that I could add. So you can see I've got the access control, report, AI dashboard, data retrieval options. You don't have to install them if you want to limit them down so your customer doesn't have them or it stops them being used. During installation, just select the basic setup, or you can select all of the modules and add them as required. We've added everything because it's going to make it a little bit easier for when we go through this. So the first thing you need to do is obviously add some devices. So under device management, when you've set up your username and password for the software and any of the security questions that you may need to reset the password if you lose it for the software, you get into the main menu, and this is the home menu. So we've got video application, access control, and the general application settings. What we will do is go through mostly the VMS side. The access control is almost a dedicated webinar on its own. You can do a lot within it. I will touch on it, but if you guys feel the need to go through the access control more, then we will go through that as a separate webinar. This is more for the video-led stuff today. The reason being, with everybody working remotely or trying to help remotely, this tool becomes a really valuable asset in you being able to add your Hikvision backend devices or cameras to the software so you can maintain them, update firmware, do health checks, etc. remotely without the need to go to site and make some vital adjustments. So it is a free, really valuable remote tool. It differs from Hike Central in that Hike Central is a licensed product and it is a client server architecture. So we have a dedicated server and the clients connect to the server. Hike iVMS-4200 is a client-only software, so it's a one-time installation. You can have many instances running across many PCs, but they don't talk to each other. So any change you make on one, you potentially have to make that on several PCs. So depending on the application, it may be that Hike Central is a better VMS for you, but 4200 is certainly not to be sniffed at. Whilst it's free, it's still an extremely powerful and well-used program. And they've made some massive advancements compared to the old version too. So I urge you to download it and give it a go at least if you haven't already. One thing I will say is please check the spec of your PC. If you need us to send a recommended spec out to you, then we can. A lot of people complain that sometimes it can be quite resource hungry, and which is true. Again, it depends on if you add none or minimum or all of the modules on installation and what you're doing with it. So if you're running a very basic PC without dedicated graphics and you're trying to view 64 cameras, then expect it to be slow. But we can send recommended specs as required. Okay, first thing you need to do when you load into the software is on the right-hand side in the main menu is go into device management. First of all, you have to add the device. Whatever that device is, it has to be added. There is no default device. As you can see, I've added some basic devices in here already because I've been, well, these are the devices I use every day within our building. I'm going to add another device to show you the process. Two ways of doing this. You can click online device. Yes, for the firewall. You can either find the devices here, select them, click add, and then add them that way. That only works if the PC is in the same subnet as the network as the camera. So if the PC and the devices you're trying to add are in the same subnet, absolutely fine. If they're not, then it won't find them. That's quite obvious. You can also enable any devices or activate them by default. So if you connect the device, a DVR, NVR, IP camera to the network, this software will allow you to activate that device. By default, they're unactivated. So you would see the device unactivated in here, and you'd simply select the activate function. You'd input the password that you want, the admin password, and then it enables you to change the IP address to match whatever rule or application that you need, and then you can add it to the software. And you can also do password resets from within iVMS-4200. Again, the device has to be within the same subnet. You have to be able to see it, and then you can click on the reset password function there. You can export the file. You can send it to Hikvision, or if you're a customer of ours, to us. We will process that file through the reset portal and send you a file back. You then import that key using the import function, type the new password in, click on OK, and in theory, the password will be reset. We can only do that for customers of ours. Again, if you're not in the UK or use a different distributor, you can speak to them. Or if you're outside of the UK, just speak to Hikvision directly. They are pretty quick at doing them. Another thing is sometimes it is quicker just to default a camera directly. If it is an IP camera, you'll find a lot of the time they have reset buttons underneath the SD card flap. Take the flap off, hold the reset button in, down power the device, power it back up, hold it for 15 seconds, and it will put it into a default mode. So sometimes it might just be easier and quicker to do that. Just a little tip for you. Okay, so we're going to add the device manually. So click on add. We're going to give it a name. So we'll give it DVS, IDS, false alarm NVR, but this could be anything. Address 192.168.3.205. Port admin details and password. So I'm going to type this password in, but obviously not tell you. And synchronize time. Yes, so that'll push the time from the from the software to the NVR. Import it to a group and click add. You can see there I've added the device DVS IDS false alarm NVR. It's come online and it's told us the detail. Now there's a nice little tip that you can use here. Many people still don't know this function and they still like to go and name all of the cameras manually within the software, which takes a long time. So if you name the cameras in the NVR, which most people do, to give it an OSD name, you can go into group, drop the box down, select encoding channels, right click and select update camera name. It will go and pull all of those names from the NVR that have been inputted manually, and then it saves you having to do it twice. So here's a nice little tip for you. It amazes me how many people still don't know that function is there. And again, same for the alarm inputs, if any of them have been named, and you can do the same for the alarm outputs as well, if you've changed any of those. Same with access points, etc. So it does save you a little bit of time and it ties the two together, and you don't have to go and manually do it within the software. So a nice little tip for you. Another little thing to be careful of, if you do add a device, so if I add a device and it's offline, so if I added a device, for instance, just show you the principle, 168.3.20, and I just use the wrong password, for instance, click add, the device is offline. It hasn't imported it. But so if I modify this device and put the correct password in, so say for instance, I do use the correct password and port, it won't pull through the camera name. Under group, it will also not appear by the group name because it wasn't online the first time you did it. Simply then create group by device name, select a device, click OK, and it will create a new group. And then again, you can import the name. So another little way of doing it if the device is offline when you first add it to the software, because it won't be added in here. Okay, another couple of little things you can do. If you select a device, let's just get rid of that one because it's not valid. So for instance, if I selected the IDS false alarm NVR, I've got full remote control, remote configuration from here. So if I click remote configuration, it will present me with two options: basic settings and advanced functionality. Basic settings basically opens up the web page to the NVR. So whatever web page that is using, web page port, HTTP port, it will open it on that. If it's on a static IP address, please use the applicable port forwarding to match the ports that you have assigned within the NVR DVR. The default to 80,554. But again, if you do change them, which we do recommend, please change as needed. Web page gives you 95% of the configuration that you need, and you can do it remotely. It's like being in front of the NVR DVR, and in fact, some of the functionality is only available through the web page. So in fact, it's very useful to have. You'll also see that there is a advanced function. If you use the advanced function, it opens up the older SDK interface, which then gives you some of the functionality that is unique to the machine that isn't in the generic HTTP web page. When you open up the basic functions, so you can adjust like login security, storage, if you're using RAID, etc. And you can adjust that through the older SDK interface. And each machine will differ on the advanced functionality depending on what the machine is. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. You've also got the device status. So if I click on the device status, it can actually tell you, and this is a little handy one if you're not using Hikvision, so you don't have the full health monitoring tool, that this gives you a brief snapshot of what that unit is performing like. So again, remote health checks are possible. So it tells you if it's online, ticks are good, etc., free space, and you can scroll through and see some basic parameters, which gives you an overview then of what this unit is doing. Nice little health. Not as powerful as the health monitoring within Hikvision, but it does give you some overview. You can refresh and also see what online users are connected to the machines. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. That's all you need to do within the device management. When we've added our devices, we've got them online, added them in, you can have up to 256 devices or 1,024 video channels, whichever is reached first. So there is a limitation on the software. If you go past that, you need to use Hikvision. That is technically unlimited. You know, there are systems out there, 10,000 cameras plus. 100,000 cameras is quite easily achieved. Again, this is a very limited system on the fact there's 256 devices or 1,024 video channels. Okay, so 64 access control doors before anyone asks. Moving on, so under the maintenance and management, again, you can actually set events, video events from within the software itself. So a lot of people will do this through the web browser or through the local GUI, but you can do this through the software as well. So you can select a video event, access control event, or security control event. Again, select the applicable unit, select the actual channel, and then you can actually say any of these events here. You can select it, enable or disable it. So whether they come through to the software, you can disable, enable all, and then you can actually select one of the events. So say a blacklist alarm, edit linkage, and then you can select what it does within the software. So it's an audible warning, and then what that sound looks like. Send an email, pop-up window, display on map, and then the linked camera to this, and then you can click save. So each event category can be individually tailored, so it's more powerful than the older software. Again, that's a case of you going through that and disabling, enable it, and editing the linkage actions as required. Each site and each person will do this slightly differently. Again, if you can look at the alarm inputs, you can actually do the same for alarm input. So if you look at the alarm input 1, it's a sensor alarm, it's enabled, click that, edit linkage, and you can tell the software what it does when it's presented with an alarm from an alarm input. And the same for device alarms. So you've got the decoding, offline, hard drive full, hotspot exception, illegal logins, recording exceptions, etc. Each one can be tailored as needed. And you can even edit the priority. So the highest priorities will always be presented first. So still really powerful software considering it's free. Storage schedule, again, you can select your device, select your channel, and whether you stream it, storage on the encoding device, this will be done on the encoding device, but you can do it through the software. You can actually enable or disable it, what the schedule is, capture schedule, and then if you're going to use the software as a storage server, there is an element where you can use iVMS-4200 as the storage server as well. I don't recommend it. The Linux that's placed on the NVRs, DVRs is way more stable, way more cost effective, and you won't have any issues. If you are going to use the PC to be the storage server, I would really look at what PC you're going to use. That it's very critical that you follow the specification on the PC when you're using the PC and the software to do the recording. And like Windows, isn't as stable as we like to think it is unless you're using the server platforms. So you may have some issues with reboots, updates, or glitches, etc. So just be mindful. It's not what we promote, but again, it can be done if you want to. And you can store pictures and additional information on the PC as well if you require it. So when an event comes through, the picture can be stored on the PC for reference. Again, you recommend to put a separate dedicated hard drive in for that purpose. Again, it's a case of going through each one and setting that storage schedule up independently. If you are just adding the NVR DVR for live view and playback, then that schedule will be imported from the NVR DVR that you've already done, or an IP camera with an SD card perhaps. Okay. Account management, this is where we can add separate users into the software. So default is admin. Again, it's granular level, so you can click on add, select whether an administrator or an operator, give them a name and a password, and it's as simple as selecting what they are allowed to do and then selecting the applicable. So they are allowed to do certain things on the left-hand side, and then even selecting which camera they're allowed to view or play back on the right-hand side. So they may have the functionality of live view, playback, export, but only applicable cameras that you tick on the right-hand side would allow you to do that. So if it's a privacy issue, a covert camera or something, GDPR, then you can tailor that to the user. So again, default is just the admin, but you add users in past that have the detail that you allow them to have. Pretty straightforward, but again, quite detailed. System configuration, and this is where we configure elements of the software itself. So pretty much out of the box, or during out of the install, should I say, it's sort of optimized for sort of general use, but we can tailor this. So under general, we've got log expire date 1 month, but you can make it 6 months, 1 week, 1 day. Maximize mode, so we're going to go full screen with it. Again, these are just preferences more than operational. Network performance is always best. Enable keyboard and joystick, so it's the USB 1005Ki. If you don't enable that option, that keyboard, that joystick won't work. So again, just enable that if you want it. I actually disable it or leave it disabled if you haven't got it, because it does make it the software run a little bit smoother without the keyboard enabled if you're not using it. Detect new software version, so when it loads, if there is a new version we think we should replace it to, it will prompt you. And then auto upgrade devices, download and prompt, disable, etc. So you choose the option that's applicable to you. Automatic time synchronization is a good one. So if the software is running and you've got a lot of devices connected, you don't have an NTP server, so it's not provided by you, or you don't perhaps want to use one of the free ntp.pool.org, for instance, there's a nice free one. You can actually enable auto time synchronization, set the time and click save. While the software is running, at that time, it will send a time sync to all the devices every single day. So it will keep the devices for free, time synced as best as possible. But the software has to be running to achieve that. And then it will tell you in the events here that the synchronization has been completed once it has done that. And if any have failed, like the device is offline or for whatever reason it's errored. Cloud peer-to-peer region, you simply select your region wherever you are in the globe and click save. If you want to use the HiConnect login under this cloud here, cloud login, select that and put your username and password in here, log in, or you can simply register. And any devices that are associated with that HiConnect account will be pulled into the software. One thing to note, currently, if you can do live view and you can do playback, but you can't export using a peer-to-peer P2P Height Connect account. The export function is being worked on, and there's some technicalities around it. So what I would say is, if you do need to download footage or export it, when in the playback screen, which I'll show you shortly, there is a record option, one of the icons. Select that, record it locally to the PC, and then send that on as needed. So for now, that's the workaround. So just be mindful that the export function isn't quite available on peer-to-peer now. Okay, so adjust those as necessary. Live view and playback, so picture format, video format. So the video format saving is by default MP4, but you can change it to AVI. MP4 is more stable. AVI is generally larger and doesn't always work, but you can choose that from there. Merge downloaded files is not merged, but you can select the size that it merges files, so it makes multiple ones into one big file. Where to search for the files, pre-play for 30 seconds, or you could say just pre-play an event for 10 seconds to save time so you don't have a big long wait. Prioritize playback of video on storage server. That's if you're using the software with the software storage server. Resume last live view after restart will go to the main view that you close the software on, so that's quite handy. Disconnect background video in single view. So if you make a 16-way split into a big single thing, it will stop all the background video of the 16-way split, saving resource to allow it, because it could be a high resolution camera, so it makes the software run a little bit smoother. Enable wheel for zoom and skip unconcerned video during VCA playback. These are more for customization, but they are handy. So click save. Under image, again, hardware decoding. So if you're using a GPU, dedicated video card with GPU, then hardware decoding preferred should be turned on. You'll find it does take the load off the CPU, unless you've got a really powerful PC. This is an i7, 16 gig of RAM, latest i7. It's really, really powerful. Doesn't really need it, but again, if you've got dedicated graphics, turn that on. You'll be surprised the difference that makes. Enable highlight is it puts the motion boxes across everything. Absolutely horrible, so turn that off. Display transaction information is for POS. VCA rule is the analytic boxes. We'll turn that off because again, it detracts from the actual scene, but you can toggle that on and off. Display targets pattern on and overall rules on capture picture. Again, very customized for if you want to see that or not. Event picture storage. If I want to use the PC, yes, and you just dedicate the drive available for event storage, picture storage. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to fill up my hard drive with me running the software. But again, it's up to you. Change your alarm sounds. You can import new ones and test them. You've got different ones for different events, whichever is applicable. Access control and video intercom. So you've got a dedicated menu specifically for this. So the maximum ring duration into the software. So if a customer rings the software and for you to answer, that's the duration. Maximum indoor speaking time, indoor with the door station, and then with the access control device. Again, very tailored. Files, the default save location. So if you do download footage, they're the default saving locations. You can change that to the desktop. If that's not applicable to you, you can simply change that and put it on the desktop. Select the radio button. I'll probably do that because it makes it easier for me. Do that, select desktop, click save, and that's where it'll go. You've got to restart the software for that to take place. Toolbar, these are the icons that are shown in live view and playback. Just enable them all. It's going to make your life a little bit easier. Email, so if you want to send an event to an email or a picture to an email server, for instance, fill those details in one of those icons, or if an event happens, it does say send to email. Click it, and if those details are filled in, it will send it to the email, which could be a distributed set of people. So 100 people would be able to receive this event for them to be able to comment on. And security authentication is the import certificates and whether we're using TLS or not. So pretty straightforward. Again, go through that at your own will. And then we've got the system log. So again, really important. Again, really helpful if you're remote from the site to see what's going on with the system. But you've got operation log. So you can select all or admin of what these people are doing within the system. Select the time and date and what they're time and date applicable to you. Select it, and then you can back up the logs and use it as sort of an evidence audit trail if you need. So pretty straightforward. Okay, so I think that's pretty, and then you can use filters as well. So if you look up here, device type, you can choose filter. So if this is, need to narrow it down, select the filters, narrow the log down and export it. So it will help you as part of an audit trail. Okay, so that's pretty much the maintenance and management menu. What you'll see now, if we go into main view, so this is where most people will use the system. You'll see on the left-hand side, you've got a set of all of the devices that we've added. Again, under each device, if I expand that, you'll see the relevant cameras. If I wanted to view a full set of cameras, it's as easy as double-clicking on a parent folder, and it will load all of the cameras that are applicable to this machine. Again, it's over a 9-way split, so they're going into substream. If I wanted to view a camera specifically, select, say, this one here, that's an ANPR camera. It'll go into main res, and then double click and it'll send it back. You can also choose your own layout, and each screen can have up to 64 cameras. Again, the more cameras video you start processing, I'm going to just stop this a second. The more video you start processing, the more powerful the PC needs to be. So you can have up to 64 camera split that will be in substream. And it's very important in that menu earlier. One of the system choices was auto change stream type. It's enabled by default, and it should stay enabled because it will allow the software to toggle it between main and substream appropriately. There are up to 4 screens that you can have within the software. So we call them auxiliary screens. So under one of the menu choices up here, it's auxiliary screen preview is here now. So you can have up to 3 auxiliary screen preview, so 4 screens in total. So if you're using Windows Extended Desktop, drag that off and you can have up to 64 cameras per screen. That's a lot of cameras, and I can say the network plus the PC would really struggle with that. So we'd recommend, if you're using it in a 4-screen layout, 16 cameras per screen, which is a total of 64, but you can go more than that. Playback is a maximum of 16 cameras. And it will depend on the power of the PC, the power of the device you're trying to play back from, and your network. Okay, so it's up to 16, but there's some things that we have to be really careful of. So just drag that off, and then you get the full functionality of the software, but I'll close that down. So again, up to 4 screens that we can include. You can also do custom view. So if none of these splits or window divisions are preferential to you, click on add. You can give it a name, so test, and you can actually do window jointing. So if you've got a panel view, for instance, and you want to join 2 windows together to give a 180-degree view, like a better image for the layout instead of being condensed into a 4x3. So you can join these 2 windows. So if I click joint and drag those, that becomes, or even drag the 3, click save, that will then be saved under here as a custom window division. I didn't say that, did I? Let me go back in. Joint, save, and you can actually drag a camera in. So where's my panel view? Let me just get a panel view. Should be this one here. Oh, that one won't work. So for instance, that's a 180-degree panel view, and you can choose that one there, which will put that as a stretched image across the screen. Again, some people like it, some people don't, but it does allow you to tailor that image as needed. Okay, so again, quite simple. What you can do also on the left-hand side of the screen is create custom views. Some people like it, some people don't, but under custom view, click add, give it a name. So we'll just call it DVS, for instance. Click on OK, and you can actually assign a screen layout. So let's just call it a 4-way split, and you can drag cameras in from any unit. So it could be front doors of different places. Drag them in, and you've got the save option down there. Save view as current view DVS or new view. Click save, and then that view is saved for you to call at any time. And you can build up a lot of custom views, which could be all front doors, or back doors, or store, or tills, whatever that may be. You can make that up yourself. So pretty powerful. close these down to make it neat. My OCD's gone into overdrive. And you can also do auto switch on the views. So again, if you're viewing a unit and you click auto switch, you can actually switch between different units, and you can select different parameters. So you can actually say multi-screen auto switch, add in all cameras auto switch. So you can actually define how these rotate through. So the guard will get an auto switch of certain cameras in a certain way that you fine tune within that auto switch menu. Again, very customizable, and each person will have their own opinion on how that works. I'm just going to close the video down so we don't disrupt the webinar too much. So that's the main view. Again, if I pull up one of the cameras outside, so let's pull up an interesting one. So again, this is one of the cameras out in the car park. You can see the icons along the bottom here. So you've got stop, take a picture. So if you capture it, you can save that. You see where it's gone, open the folder, use that for reference. You can record. So this is the start recording. We'll save the local PC in the file location that we showed earlier. Again, if you're using HiConnect peer-to-peer, then use that function on the playback to export that segment of video that you like. You've got PTZ control. So if I open PTZ control, you've got the mouse control here, and if it was a PTZ, or you've got expand that and you've got the proper PTZ control on the left hand side, or you can use your USB joystick if that's what you want to use. And we're going to close the PTZ control. You've got the digital zoom, two-way audio, instant playback, and some remote configuration settings, and you can change the stream type as well, or fisheye expandant if you've got a fisheye. If you right click in the video, you've also got some other functions. So you've got it in the icons along there, but also some functions on the menu itself. So it depends on the camera that you're using and what that might be. So start two-way audio, so you can choose it to the camera, or you can choose it to the IP camera directly. So with the start two-way audio, if you've got a IP camera that's got the tow and engine or whatever speaker connected to it, then we can do start IP two-way audio to the camera directly from the software. So it goes from the software directly to the camera, and it doesn't have to be routed through the DVR, NVR, or we can do it through the NVR, DVR audio output as well. So it's quite powerful how we can do it directly to the audio output of the camera. If you're using IMMX, for instance, a remote monitoring platform, that also has that functionality. So it saves some time and installation costs because the audio can come from the camera and not from the NVR, DVR. If you've got a camera with an audio connected, built-in microphone or an external microphone connected, you can toggle the audio on and off. You have to enable video and audio as the stream type in the camera. But again, thermals, you've got the fire source information, stream type, etc., etc., etc. So it's quite powerful, quite a lot in there. If I choose a fisheye, for instance, or if I choose a PTZ, you can see I've got the PTZ controller there. So I've got all of the applicable functions I need there, or the on-screen one. And if I choose a fisheye camera, which is under here, you've got the fisheye expansion control. And again, now this doesn't, it's not, it's because I'm recording a webinar. It's gonna bring up another screen. So what you'll see is it takes a long time because I'm using the screen Zoom webinar. What'll happen with this is I have done a separate video on this. This takes a long time to bring this screen up with the fisheye expansion. So I'll stop that, but trust me, it does work. I did a video on it yesterday, but you can use the fisheye expansion with that. But unfortunately the Zoom does take up a bit of resource. So just trust me on that. What else are we going to show in live view that I can think is quite powerful? I think that's about it. Let me stop that a second. And it is 12 megapixel. And also what you'll see, I don't know if anyone's noticed, you'll see these little red icons on the folder. So these are for events that I've set up on the recorders or DVRs, NVRs themselves. And that's showing that I've got an events that have come through that I haven't seen. If you go down here, you'll see all of the events that have come through since I've had the software open, and they relate to these 3 or 4 devices up here. What I will do is clear all those down. So yeah, so it's just a way of showing you there are events and to clear those events down. Some people like to have this event center open, so you can actually make that full screen, and you can have that event screen as a dedicated window in the PC. So like access control events as they happen, intruder like PIR, VCA events, POS events, they'll all come through live in this dedicated screen. So again, that's really up to you. So as they happen, they'll come down here, but you can search for events, and you can also enable alarm triggered pop-up image. If I enable that, any alarms that come through now will pop up in the middle of the screen, so it draws the operator's attention directly to that alarm so they can action it appropriately. I'll turn that off because as soon as people start moving around outside, you'll have a lot of them coming in, and you can acknowledge them in a batch. You can also do event search from the event center. So under the event center, it's as simple as choosing the device and then choosing acknowledge or unacknowledged device type, whatever that is. We'll just select all, click on search. And you can see all of the different event types that have happened. And if they've got linkage actions, you'll see there. So these are AMPR ones. Again, intrusion detection, etc. And where I said earlier, you can select send email. If I had that set up, select send email, and that would send that to the dedicated email that you set up. Or you can simply handle it. You can actually type some words in there. So false alarm, and click OK. That'll put some text in there, and you can add a remark. And then when you do a search, next time that remark will be in there. So it creates a little bit of an audit trail as well. And you can filter these, export them as needed. So really quite powerful. But the real-time event is real-time event searches after, and you can do what you like with that. I'll close that down. Playback is up to 16 cameras, and there's lots of different options within there. But again, it's as simple as you can select a device. But if I wanted to select, say, a camera from outside, let's select that camera there. Time and date search is up there. So click on the time and date, select the appropriate time and date and the start and end time. Again, the red little flags will indicate that there's footage available to be viewed, and the little red dot is saying that it's today. And again, you can have the time bar along the bottom, move that, and it will scrub that as needed. You can increase or decrease the time bar. And if you've got more than one camera, so if I add in another one from outside, so let's say that one, you can actually then synchronize or asynchronous or synchronize the playback. So synchronize, you can do that, and then both will update, or now they will. So you do that and they both update depending on if you want one or both to update. So it lets you see what goes on at that time across multiple cameras, up to 16. And again, simply to download any footage, there's a couple of ways of doing this. And again, everyone's got their own way of doing it. But again, you can snapshot, record, zoom in, export, tag, etc. on there. You can clip footage. So you can clip like a 30-second video footage out with many hours of footage. Or you can simply click download for multiple cameras, select the 2 cameras that you want, because there could be 16 in there, select the start and end time, and then you download, play with it, leave that highlighted, click download, and that will download that to the location that you adjusted earlier. And again, you can do that up to 16 cameras. It's a really nice way of downloading multiple cameras at once. So let me just stop these. And you've got up to 16, the 16 playback, and then -4 on the slow down. So again, time and date, play, pause, stop, tag, etc. All of those lovely things with the clip, all available from in there. Really powerful. Many of you have used it. Many of you understand how easy it is to use. Okay, and again, if you use the tag function, it makes it a little bit easier to search for later on if you haven't got time to do it right then. Again, you've got the event type. You can search for motion detection or VCA detection, so you can actually search directly for these. So if you wanted to search for line crossing, intrusion, audio, whatever those may be, you can actually search for that, select the camera, click search, and it will go and find any of those VCA events during that playback time. So again, a narrowed search over the standard playback functionality where you have to go manually find it. You can actually do the POS search and the ATM. We don't use the ATM model over here, but I know some regions do use the ATM model, and it gives you that transaction detail. With the POS, I've done a separate video on that, really powerful. You can search for the POS transactions, download them, and you can search for keywords, etc., like refund, which will then associate the refund, POS overlay on the camera, and then download that section of footage for evidential purposes as required. I don't have POS set up today for this demo. Okay, so that's pretty much on the remote playback. Hopefully that answers quite a lot of questions there. If I go back to the main menu, another good menu for data retrieval is the data retrieval menu. Go into data retrieval and there's some new, now this will depend on what back-end devices you have connected and what firm they're on. As you can see there, I've gone into the, there's some ones, face picture retrieval, human body retrieval, behavior analysis, vehicle retrieval, etc. Now, these will depend on being false alarm, NVR, face recognition, NVR, specialized cameras, etc., or just having VCA enabled, for instance. So the face picture retrieval is one I've just ran up before I did the demo. So this is the hybrid X model, or the new X model IDS NVR, very latest firmware. All I've done is search for a camera, basically said, basic search information, done it, and for one of the cameras on the latest firmware. This happens to be the temperature detection camera, the solution we're promoting currently. But you can see there, I can select it and it tells me I'm male, youth. So it's got that right. I am a male. I am in my youth, even though I'm a sprightly 38. I do look quite young, not wearing glasses, and I'm smiling, which is unusual. I'm not wearing a mask, one of those face masks. And again, what time that was captured. And you can export that search, playback, etc. from there. If I take one of the other ones, for instance, like this one, it'll say, I'm not wearing glasses and I'm not smiling, which is my general facial expression. As you can see through here, if you go through, I'm not smiling in most of them, but I am a happy person inside. Again, that will depend on the NVR firmware and the technologies you've got connected, but it is really powerful. We're adding a lot more functionality into our back-end devices. Again, this is sort of AI-led. It's as simple as choosing the camera. So again, choose that, click search, and it'll go through and search for anything that we've done, you know, since I last searched for it. So really handy, really powerful. You can export that. Or I can search by picture, so I can actually import a picture of myself into the software, click search, and it will go away. Because it's a face rec NVR, it'll go and search all of the channels that have enabled face rec and pull back those results based on the picture I upload. Now, before this version, really, that was a Hike Central function, but we do it in iVMS-4200 as long as you've got the right back-end devices connected. Really, really powerful. Or you can select by person name or by facial features. So you can actually limit it down by only wearing glasses. Was I smiling? Yes, or just put unknown, and then click search, and it'll do the ones that I was smiling. So if you want to see how many happy people have come into your shop or your business, you can simply search by that. Human body retrieval is a new one. Again, I've done a little bit of research for it. Same recorder. It's the X model recorder. Search for it, and it's found all of the AI enabled channels that I did on the X model recorder, and it's sort of picked this person out. He's a male. He's not wearing a backpack. He is riding a bike, and it tells you the capture time and image. And again, you can sort of go for each one. Youth, male, not wearing glasses, and this time it's telling me that my top color is green. That's a DVS default color is green, and I'm not riding a bike. Again, there is some should I say, the accuracy will be improved with firmware. That's probably the best way of saying it. This is a start. It is pretty accurate, but this will improve over time. And as the firmwares improve and the technology improves, this will become way more accurate. But it's a very good start. And again, you can narrow that down by camera, etc., and do what you like. Like this person here, he's a male, middle-aged, not wearing glasses, black, backpack, no, riding, yes. So you can see it is quite accurate, and it is quite a nice function. And again, you can do the search by that as well, by features or by picture. If you need any more, speak to us at Hikvision. Behavior analysis. This is specifically based on VCA technology. So again, select the VCA camera or select a channel with VCA on it, and select, you can narrow it down or just select all, click search, and it will again show you any of those. This happens to be a thermal camera we've got in the compound. I can select that and it will tell me the camera model, what the time and date was, and I can export that, or I can click playback and it will start to play back that capture. And again, export that as you needed. So narrow that down as required. So you can see really powerful, makes the search interface really powerful as well. So if you are using the VCAs, you know, please use that as the search interface, but again, narrow it down. Again, if you're using the IDS false alarm NVR, you can select false alarm and it will show you the ones that have been eliminated from the NVR and that didn't get processed and linkage actions done because it was maybe a bird, animal, etc., or interference, whatever that may be. Vehicle retrieval is exactly the same as I showed you earlier. Again, select a vehicle and it'll tell you as much detail as it can. This is using the 7-line ANPR camera, but again, using the X model IDS NVR. Again, maybe not as accurate as we'd like it, but it tells you the vehicle brand is others, vehicle color, and what type it is. So if you select another one, that has got the color there. And again, you can search by vehicle features to narrow that search down. You can even search by number plate. So if I go LN68, which is mine, click search. All right, it's not, I don't have, I need to change the time and date. So if I go W1, I haven't drove mine for quite a while actually. So again, W1, I've been driving a different van for the last couple of days. So again, W1, click on that, and that was me coming in this morning. So yeah, apologies, I forgot I was driving that thing to keep it going. And again, export playback as needed. So really, really powerful function. You just need an ANPR camera connected to one of our recorders. It doesn't have to be specifically the deep in mind recorders for the ANPR search and functionality. Hard hat search, you need a camera with a dedicated firmware, but it's for construction industry. It will allow you to search or alarm on people who haven't got a hard hat on that should have a hard hat on. People frequency, this is for facial recognition, NVR support this, so you can actually support frequently appeared people or rarely appeared people. So someone who should be in the scene a lot, or people who are in the scene and they shouldn't be, you set the appropriate threshold and you can search based on that. So quite powerful, but you do need a facial recognition NVR to support that. And then the facial recognition check-in, again, part of the facial recognition functionality, but you can see, select the list that you've pulled from the NVR, select the camera, and it will tell you that you've checked in or checked out over the appropriate days. So again, our functionality is getting quite advanced. There's a lot of AI tech coming in and AI processes. Really, really exciting time to be in this industry, and I hope this will continue to grow. And then in a couple of months, we'll be doing another presentation. Again, under report, you can go into report, and if you've got the relevant cameras connected, so people counting, intersection analysis, it's as simple as choosing the camera you've got connected and display by camera or device. So again, for people counting, you could choose a people counting camera. Let's just choose one quickly. It is the dual lens people counting camera is this one. We'll do a weekly report because I haven't been in there that much. Click search, and you can see there, you can choose enter or exit, click search, and you can see they should marry up because I've gone in the amount of times I've gone out. So it, you know, that just goes to show that is working. And you can export the reports, change it to line bar, graph, etc., and export as needed. And there's a lot of functionality built into people counting. Same with intersection analysis. You need a fisheye camera to have the intersection analysis. That's only on the fisheye camera. Again, it's as simple as choosing a fisheye camera, choosing the time and date, click search. Well, it is supported. Oh, you have to add the camera in directly to the software. That's one limitation with the intersection analysis. You have to add the camera into the software directly, not through the NVR, but the fisheye would support that intersection analysis. Okay, queue management. Again, if you've got a queue management camera, it'll tell you the people counting and wait duration all through the software. So really powerful report. Separate video done on that. And with the heat map, fisheye technology again. So choose the fisheye technology. Generate heat map over a weekly report. Or show a picture of it, and it'll show you the route. I've only really been going in and out. Again, you can export that or tailor it to whatever your need may be. So hopefully that's given you a quick overview of the report functionality. And let me just close that down and that down, close that down. And other than that, we've got the AI dashboard. So under the AI dashboard, this is for the facial recognition check-in. So you choose face application, multi-target detection, or linked capture alarm. this is probably not the best thing to demonstrate today, but choose the face application. And then you can select your camera, and as people come in and go out, it will register their face in this application, and you can assign different actions and different colors to the lists that you have within the facial recognition NVR. So it is quite powerful. This is more for a guard watching it to see who's coming in and going out, and you're going to have the live results in the software and on the right hand side. I'll close that down because that'll take about 10 minutes to go through and configure. With the access control, again, probably better to do a separate one on this, but again, if you add under device management, if you add an access control device in here, or devices, whether it's the face rec terminals, the ACUs, the terminal standard terminals that we do, time and attendance, under here you'll see the devices, and then you can set up all of those parameters. I'll probably say, if you want to see that, let us know. Just drop Reese a message, and we'll do a separate webinar based solely around access control, because this will be very distracting compared to the video side, and it will take about 30 to 60 minutes just to go through this specifically, but we can go through that. It is still really powerful. And the last thing I want to show you is the EMAP. So again, under the EMAP, it's quite simple, still probably underused, but really powerful function. So simply select the device that you want to add a map under. So click add map, give it a map name, we'll just call it DVS. Select the map location. Under pictures, there's one of DVS, click OK, import this. So again, it's as simple as import the map, and then you can actually edit the scale. So you could say that, well, I know that this is 50 meters. Click on OK. So we've actually scaled that, click finish. And now I can actually drag video across to this map. So if I click edit, so if I wanted to display video externally or place cameras around the map, I can drag a camera here, put it on the map. This is the 360. So again, draw that 360 thing. Edit the scale for it. You can right click on there, edit each of the icons, edit the colors, drag, just drag them off as you need. Again, drag that through there. No. And again, increase or decrease that radius. So it allows you to change the color as well. So it could be green. You could give it a name like test, hotspot icon, and apply to it. Click on OK. So it just allows you to put cameras on the map and also alarm inputs and outputs. So it's not just for cameras. If I show you the alarm inputs, outputs, again, down here, drag an alarm input on there, drop there, and an alarm output even. Okay, when we finish with this, we'll click finish. A lot of people will have the EMAP as a dedicated view in the monitor. Again, if I double click on an icon, it will bring up the live view in a little picture window. Again, takes a little bit of time because we're doing a webinar, but you can have multiples of these. So drag it around the map so you can see picture in picture, make that full screen, take snapshots, etc. So it's quite an interactive map. If an alarm occurs, the alarm icon will flash on the map so you know where it is, and you can actually clear that alarm down, so clear alarms if you need to, and you can actually trigger outputs as well from the map and indicate where they are. So quite a powerful thing. Again, probably very underused. Change the icons, import your own. Not as advanced as Hike Central mapping, but still quite powerful. And it doesn't do the GIS mapping on this version, but you can also do hotspot link, hotspots or add regions. So you can go from one area to another. So if you've got different sites and you want to go from one site to another, so you have an overall, like a UK map, for instance, and you want hotspots on there, click on that and that will go to drill down to your applicable site. So it's as powerful as you want to make it. Again, hopefully that will give you a little bit of insight as to what the mapping does and how you can use it. Other than that, I think that's about it. I guess really it's down to, is there any questions that need answering? So I'm going to ask Reese quickly, was there anything he couldn't answer, any outstanding burning questions that anyone want to ask before we bring this to an end?
So there's a couple. You'll have to excuse my my apprentice in the background.
Okay.
But right, so how do you add the data retrieval button? That was about 10 minutes ago when you were fiddling around there.
Okay, so that's done on install. So what I would say is, like on install, by default, the data retrieval button isn't enabled. It's like it's by default it's not. There's a couple of ways you can do it, and the easiest way is to probably go into control panel programs and click the select iVMS-4200 and then change, and then you can actually modify it and then add that back in after. That's probably the quickest way, or uninstall it. It varied on what version you had. It may be the quickest way is uninstall it and then install it, but make sure all the icons are ticked. There's two ways of doing it: reinstall, select all icons, or go to the control panel programs, edit, modify, and do it that way. So two ways of doing it, really. One thing I will say as well, I forgot to mention it, under the auto backup function. So up here, you've got the auto backup function here. By default, it's on. You select your days, time, and where that goes. And then if you want to view the file, so this is the auto backup file, is anything that you've added and configured within the software. So you can actually view the files once you've selected the backup location, other than the default one. What you can do is auto backup, and then import it. So you can go to system, export configuration file, and then import it into another 4200. So if you need to set up 10 of them the same, or uninstall it and then reinstall it for whatever reason, like there's a glitch or you want to do a reinstall to add the functionality in that you didn't when you first installed it, export the configuration file and then uninstall it and then just re-import that configuration file, and it'll dump all of that back in there, which will save you quite a lot of time. It also works if you want to set up 10 PCs the same on a site that they all have the same functionality. Set it up once, export the configuration, and then import that back in. So hopefully that answered that question.
Right, okay. I've got another one. On event configuration, if you set an alert based on a motion detection or line crossing, for example, to make a beep noise, so the audible warning, will this be on the PC or will it happen on the MVR?
No, it happens on the PC. So the setup that I just showed you there was that was specifically for the event linkage on the PC, not for the end device, but you can change that from the software. So there's two ways of doing it. The event, you choose the event sound, and if it on the edit linkage, whether it happens on the PC here, but you can also go in and change it whether it happens on the end device. So you can do both if you want. So remotely, you can actually adjust or disable both, if that makes sense.
Yeah, made sense.
Okay, yeah.
On the other one, the last question I've got here is, on the older iVMS, you could change the stream type by going into the options and clicking the auto change stream type off. How do you do it in this software? So in the version 3.
How to do the, sorry, let me just turn my audio up a little bit. So you mean on the live view, you mean on the main page?
On the main view, how do you change between substreams and main streams?
You mean, okay. So you mean here, it's there, look.
Yeah.
So the default is auto change stream type, which is the highly suggested one, but you can force each one into mainstream or substream or third stream or whatever, depending on what the camera is. The default is auto change stream type, but that's where you adjust it. So on each camera, that free radio button, and then if I wanted to click substream, click OK, and that'll be the substream. That's where you do it. It's also down here on the icon bar. So down here, you can actually change the stream there as well. It's off the screen a little bit. But yeah, you can do it there as well. Hopefully that helps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Fine. Excellent. I think I've gone for everything. We've gone through everything I can think of, and hopefully people have taken stuff from this that they may not have known or quite excited to explore. It is a powerful software when used correctly, but again, it is free. Hopefully some people have got some insights into it. Any questions, webinars@dvs.co.uk. Me and Reese are able to answer them specifically on there. Any suggestions, comments or feedback, again, same address. Hopefully you've really enjoyed it. Keep looking out for our deliverable content. We're trying to do 2 to 3 a week, and we've got a lot more lined up. Wherever you are in the world, we hope you took something from it. Stay safe and stay tuned. Learning is earning. So hopefully we've done you proud. Any questions, please come back to us. Other than that, take care, stay safe, stay home, and we'll see you very soon for another one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.